5 wealthy women received a terrifying message. I know what you did. 3 years ago, on New Year's Eve, Adaeze, Ngozi, Folake, Hauwa, and Blessing unalived a woman named Amaka. They ran her car off the road and left her to die. Now, Amaka's son Chidi has returned to Lagos. He's been watching them. He knows everything, and he's demanded they meet him at midnight at the exact place where his mother took her last breath. The 5 women have no choice but to face their past. Now, the confrontation. A light came on, bright, blinding, and a voice spoke from the darkness. Good evening, ladies. Thank you for coming. A young man stepped into the light. He was tall, maybe 25, with a face that made all 5 women gasp. Amaka's face. The same high cheekbones, the same almond-shaped eyes, the same expression of quiet determination. Chidi, Adaeze whispered. You remember my name, he said, his voice cold. I'm touched. I wasn't sure you'd remember anything about my mother at all. Ngozi stepped forward, her red dress catching the light. What do you want? Money? We can pay you. Name your price. Chidi laughed. It was a bitter, broken sound. You think this is about money? You think you can buy your way out of murder? It was an accident, Folake said quickly, too quickly. Really? Chidi pulled out a tablet. An accident. Let me show you something. He pressed play on the tablet. The screen showed a video. Dark, rainy, shot from inside a car. Amaka's car. They could hear her voice, panicked, breathing hard. They're following me. Ngozi's car, the black Mercedes. They are right behind me. They are getting closer. The 5 women stood frozen. If something happens to me, Amaka's voice continued on the video, it's not an accident. It's them, the 5 women of Royal Gardens, Ngozi Okonkwo, Folake Adeleke, Hauwa Musa, Blessing Okonfo, and Adaeze. They know what my husband and I discovered about their husbands. They know I'm going to the police. If I die tonight... The video cut to the sound of impact, metal crushing, glass shattering, Amaka screaming, then silence, then nothing. Blessing fell to her knees, sobbing. Folake covered her mouth with her hands. Hauwa started praying in Arabic. Even Ngozi's cold mask cracked, tears streaming down her face. Adaeze just stood there, watching the black screen, hearing Amaka's last scream echo in her mind. My mother, Chidi said, his voice shaking with rage, recorded everything on her phone. She was documenting what your husbands were doing, the corruption, the bribes, the people they'd hurt to build their empires. He swiped to another file. Oil spills that Chief Okonkwo covered up, poisoning entire villages in the Niger Delta. Swipe. Bank fraud by Mr. Adeleke, stealing from thousands of small business owners. Swipe. Senator Musa taking bribes to pass laws that hurt the poor. Swipe. Mr. Okonfo's tech company stealing user data and selling it. Swipe. Mr. Adaeze's construction projects built on land stolen from families, people threatened and driven out. Each image was damning. Documents, photos, voice recordings. My mother spent months gathering evidence, Chidi continued. She was going to expose all of them, and you killed her for it. We didn't mean to, Folake cried. We just wanted to scare her, to make her stop. You ran her off the road in the rain, Chidi said coldly, and then you left her there. My mother was alive for almost an hour after the crash. The autopsy showed she could have survived if someone had called for help. The words hit like bullets. An hour.
Amaka had been alive for an hour, and they'd left her there. Hauwa collapsed, her hijab falling around her shoulders as she wept. I wanted to call, I wanted to help her, but they said. We said if she lived, we'd all die, Ngozi finished, her voice hollow. Our husband would have unalived us, unalive our children. So you killed my mother instead, to protect yourselves, to protect your luxury lives, your mansions, your designer bags, your perfect Instagram posts. Adaeze finally found her voice. You're right about all of it. We killed your mother. We're murderers. We've lived with that guilt every day for 3 years. Guilt, Chidi laughed bitterly. You went back to your parties, your charity galas, your perfect lives. Where's the guilt in that? Every night I see her face, Adaeze said quietly. Every night I dream about the crash, about her screaming. I haven't slept properly in 3 years. Good, Chidi said. You shouldn't sleep. You should suffer, like I've suffered, like my father suffered before he died of a broken heart 6 months ago. Blessing looked up, tears streaming down her face. Your father is dead? Yes, he never recovered from losing my mother. He died thinking it was an accident. I let him die believing that lie because I wanted to wait. I wanted to gather all the evidence. I wanted to be sure. And now I am. Ngozi wiped her tears, her business mind working. What do you want from us, Chidi? You have the evidence. You could have gone to the police already, but you didn't. You called us here. So what do you want? I want you to confess, Chidi said simply. I want you to walk into a police station, all 5 of you, and tell them exactly what you did. Murder, conspiracy, all of it. They'll send us to prison, Folake whispered. Yes, Chidi agreed, just like you sent my mother to her grave. Our children, Blessing sobbed, hand on her pregnant belly. What about us? Chidi's face hardened. What about me? I was your child age when you made me an orphan. Did you think about me when you left my mother to die? Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence.
Hauwa looked up at Chidi, her face streaked with tears. If we confess, what happens to the evidence about our husbands? Chidi smiled grimly. That's the second part. You confess to killing my mother, and you testify against your husbands. You tell the police everything, all their crimes, all the corruption, everything my mother died trying to expose. They'll kill us, Folake shrieked. The moment they find out we betrayed them, they'll kill us and our children. Then you'd better hope the police protect you, Chidi said, because those are my terms. Confess to murder, testify against your husbands, face justice. Or, he held up his tablet, I send this video to every news station in Nigeria, every blog, every WhatsApp group. I post it online. Everyone will know what you did. Your families, your friends, your children. He paused. Your children will see this video, ladies. They'll hear my mother's last words. They'll hear her scream. They'll know their mothers are killers. Is that what you want? Adaeze thought of Chilma. Sweet, innocent Chilma who thought her mommy was a princess. How do you tell a 6-year-old that her mother is a murderer? How long do we have? Ngozi asked, her voice defeated for the first time. Until sunrise, Chidi said. You have until 6 a.m. to turn yourselves in at the nearest police station. If you're not there by 6:01, the video goes public. And trust me, I have it set to auto-upload. Even if you try to hurt me, it won't stop anything. He looked at each of them. My mother believed in justice, not revenge. She would want you to face the law, not a mob. So I am giving you this chance. Do the right thing, finally. He turned to leave, then stopped. You know what the worst part is, he said quietly. My mother actually felt sorry for you.
In her recordings, she talked about how you are all trapped, prisoners in golden cages, married to monsters. She wanted to save you too. She thought if she exposed your husbands, you'd all be free. He looked back at them, tears in his eyes now. She died trying to save you, and you repaid her by leaving her in a ditch like garbage. With that, he walked away into the darkness. The sound of his car engine starting, driving away, leaving the 5 women alone with their choice. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, Blessing started crying. Deep, broken sobs that shook her whole body. Folake sank to the ground, her designer dress getting dirty, not caring. Hauwa pulled her hijab over her face, her prayers mixing with her tears. Ngozi stood like a statue, staring at the spot where Amaka's car had crashed 3 years ago. And Adaeze walked to that exact spot, where the concrete pillars still stood, where Amaka had taken her last breath. "I'm sorry," she whispered to the ghost of a woman who'd only wanted to do the right thing. "I'm so, so sorry." "What do we do?" Folake asked, her voice broken. "We have a choice," Hauwa said quietly. "The same choice we had 3 years ago. Do the right thing or protect ourselves." "And we all know how that worked out last time," Adaeze said bitterly. Ngozi finally moved. She walked over to them, her red dress now seeming less like power and more like blood. "If we confess," she said slowly, "our lives are over. Prison, our children in foster care or with relatives, our husbands either in prison too or free to marry other women and forget us. Everything we have, everything we built, gone. We built it on blood, money and lies," Hauwa countered. "Maybe it deserves to be gone." "Easy for you to say," Folake snapped. "My children are older. Mine are still babies. They need their mother." "Chidi needed his mother too," Adaeze said quietly. "He was 22 when we killed her, still in university. He had to come home, bury his mother, watch his father waste away from grief, and then bury him too, all while knowing the truth that everyone else called an accident." Blessing struggled to her feet, her pregnant belly making it difficult. "I don't want to go to prison. I don't want my children to grow up without me, but..." She looked at the crash site. "I also don't want to live like this, jumping every time my phone rings, having nightmares, looking at my children and wondering if they can see the monster I've become." "We're not monsters," Ngozi said. "We're human beings who made a terrible mistake." "We're murderers," Hauwa corrected. "We can call it what it is now. No more lies, no more pretending." Adaeze checked her phone. 1:17 a.m. Less than 5 hours until sunrise. Less than 5 hours to decide. "Let's think about this logically," Ngozi said, going into business mode. "If we confess, Chidi gets what he wants. We go to prison. Our husbands maybe go to prison if we testify. Our children suffer. Our families suffer. Everyone loses, except Chidi." "Chidi already lost everything," Adaeze said. "Both his parents, his childhood, his future with his mother. He's not winning anything. He's just trying to get justice." "Justice," Ngozi spat. "What is justice anyway? Putting 5 women in prison? Destroying 5 families? How does that bring his mother back?" "It doesn't," Hauwa said, "but it's the right thing to do." "Says who?" Folake challenged. "Who decides what's right?" "The law decides," Hauwa answered. "God decides. Our consciences decide." "My conscience says protect my children," Folake said firmly. "By teaching them that rich people can literally get away with murder? What kind of lesson is that?" Adaeze asked. They argued in circles, back and forth, prison or freedom, truth or lies, justice or survival. Until finally, Blessing said what they were all thinking. "We can't run from this forever. Even if we don't confess now, this will eat us alive. We'll never be free, never be at peace. We'll always be looking over our shoulders, waiting for the next Chidi to appear with evidence." She touched her belly. "I'm bringing a new life into the world in 2 months. I don't want her first memory of her mother to be fear. I don't want to teach her that money and power mean you don't have to face consequences. Tears rolled down her face. I want to hold her and tell her the truth, that mommy made a terrible mistake, that mommy is facing the consequences, that mommy is teaching her the most important lesson. No matter how hard, you do the right thing. Folake was crying too now. But our other children, they're so young. They'll grow up without us. They'll grow up knowing their mothers chose truth over lies, chose justice over comfort. That's not nothing, Hauwa said. Ngozi shook her head. I can't do it. I can't throw away everything I've built, everything I have. What do you really have, Ngozi? Adaeze asked. A husband who barely notices you? A house full of things that don't make you happy? Friends you only see at parties? What are you really fighting to keep? Ngozi had no answer, because the truth was, none of them had anything real, nothing that mattered, nothing worth unaliving for. And yet, they'd killed anyway. Adaeze thought about Chioma, about tucking her in at night, about watching her grow up, about being there for her first day of school, her graduation, her wedding. She'd miss all of that if she went to prison. But what would she be teaching her if she didn't? That pretty lies are better than ugly truths? That money can solve any problem? That you don't have to face consequences if you're rich enough? Is that the mother she wanted to be? I'm going to confess, Adaeze said suddenly. The others stared at her. I'm going to the police station at 5:30 a.m. I'm going to tell them everything. What we did, what our husbands did, all of it. Adaeze, Ngozi started. I'm tired, Ngozi. I'm so tired of pretending, of lying, of being afraid. I just want to be free. Even if freedom means a prison cell, at least it's honest. Blessing nodded slowly. I'm with you. I'll confess too. Hauwa stood up. And I'll confess, it's what my faith teaches. Confession, repentance, facing the consequences of our sins. 3 down, 2 to go. Folake and Ngozi looked at each other. What if we don't? Folake asked. What if Ngozi and I refuse? What happens then? Then you'll have to live with yourselves, Adaeze said, and good luck with that. Folake bit her lip. She thought about her children, her designer bags, her luxury life, and she thought about Chidi, a young man who lost everything because 5 women chose comfort over conscience. Okay, she whispered finally. Okay, I'll confess too. All eyes turned to Ngozi, the oldest, the strongest, the one who made the final call 3 years ago to leave Amaka to die. She stood alone now, facing the 4 women who'd once followed her lead without question. Ngozi, Adaeze said gently, come with us. Let's end this together, the same way we started it. For the first time in 3 years, Ngozi cried, really cried. Not the single tear in the basement, but deep broken sobs that came from a place she'd buried long ago. I killed her, she sobbed. I was driving. I hit her car. It was me. The others gathered around her as she fell apart. We all killed her, Hauwa said. We all made the choice together. And we'll face the consequences together, Blessing added. Ngozi looked up at them through her tears. What do we tell our children? The truth, Adaeze said. We tell them the truth. That we made a terrible mistake. That we're sorry. And that we're finally doing the right thing. Ngozi nodded slowly. Okay. Okay. We confess. All 5 of us. Together. They sat together in the parking lot as the hours ticked by. Talking, crying, praying, remembering. They talked about Amaka, about the woman they'd killed, about her kindness, her intelligence, her courage. They talked about their children, about what would happen to them, about how to explain. They talked about their husbands, about the empire of corruption they'd protected by killing Amaka. And they talked about freedom, real freedom, not the gilded cage of Royal Guardian's estate, but the freedom of truth. As the sky started to lighten, turning from black to dark blue to pink, the 5 women made their final preparations. They called their families, left messages for their children, said goodbye to the only life they'd known. At 5:30 a.m., they drove in a convoy to the nearest police station. 5 luxury cars, 5 wealthy women in rumpled party dresses, and one shared truth that was finally going to see the light of day. Inside the police station, a sleepy officer looked up from his desk, shocked to see 5 of Lagos's most prominent women walking in at dawn. "Can I help you?" he asked. Adaeze stepped forward. "Yes, we're here to confess to a murder." The officer blinked. "A murder?" 3 years ago, Ngozi added. "New Year's Eve, Amaka Okafor." The officer's eyes widened. He knew that case. The wealthy woman who'd crashed her car, ruled an accident. "We killed her," Hauwa said quietly, "and we need to tell." 6 months later, the trial was the biggest in Nigerian history. 5 wealthy women on trial for murder. Their powerful husbands on trial for corruption. The evidence Amaka had gathered brought down some of the most powerful men in Nigeria: oil magnates, bankers, senators, tech billionaires, real estate developers, all exposed, all facing justice. In Kirikiri prison, 5 women waited for their sentences. They'd pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter. The prosecution was asking for 15 years. But something strange had happened. For the first time in 3 years, they were sleeping through the night. No nightmares, no jumping at shadows, no fear, just peace. Adaeze received letters from Chioma every week. Her daughter was living with Adeze's mother now. The letters were simple, childish, full of spelling mistakes and drawings, but each one ended the same way. "I still love you, Mommy." And that was enough. Because Adaeze had finally taught her daughter the most important lesson. The truth always comes to light, and when it does, you face it with courage. On the day of sentencing, the 5 women stood before the judge. "You've admitted to a terrible crime. You took a life, destroyed a family, and then tried to hide it." They nodded. No excuses, no defenses. However, the judge continued, "You've also shown extraordinary courage in confessing, in testifying against your husbands, in helping to expose one of the largest corruption networks in Nigerian history." He looked at them thoughtfully. "Amaka Okafor died trying to bring the truth to light, and in your own way, you finally helped her succeed." The sentence came. 10 years, eligible for parole in 7. It was heavy, but it was also mercy. As they were led away, Adaeze looked back at the courtroom. She saw Chidi sitting in the back room. Their eyes met. He didn't smile, but he nodded. A small acknowledgement. She'd finally done what her mother had tried to do. Tell the truth, face the consequences, do the right thing. And as the prison gate closed behind her, Adaeze felt something she hadn't felt in 3 years. Freedom. Real, honest, terrifying, beautiful freedom. Because the truth had finally set her free. The end. Final message. In life, no secret stays buried forever. The choices we make, good or bad, always have consequences. And sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is tell the truth, even when the truth will cost us everything. Because at the end of the day, we're all just human, and humans make mistakes. The question is, do we have the courage to face them? Ikoyi wives don't cry, but maybe they should have cried 3 years ago. Maybe they should have cried when it mattered. Maybe they should have chosen truth over comfort, justice over luxury, life over lies. But in the end, they did. And that makes all the difference. Thank you for watching this 2-part story. May we all have the courage to choose truth, no matter the cost.